This is a story about the practice of surrendering. But surrendering what? Surrendering never seems like a good thing. If you surrender in a game, it means that you're weak. If you surrender money, it means that you are losing something of value. Practice surrendering? Why would we do that? Because we have so much stuff. Now don't get me wrong, I love my stuff. But if we make our stuff the reason for our lives, we begin to love ourselves. And we begin to hate everyone else who gets in the way of our stuff. In the end, stuff is just stuff. And all stuff eventually ends up in a landfill, which is properly called garbage. For some reason, we pride ourselves in all of our stuff, but really we are just collecting piles of future garbage. Is that pile really worth hating people over? Is it really worth ignoring God over? Jesus came and taught all about how we need to do two things above all else. We need to love God, and we need to love other people. Jesus spoke to the most religious people about this, and these people believed that they loved God more than any other thing. Jesus said they were wrong. You do not earn God's favor with religion, but God's love is offered to all people, even those that the religious people would call evil. One day, Jesus is traveling down the road. He's heading to Jerusalem. And with him is a large crowd. This crowd is made up of all of the people that the religious men call evil. But remember, God still loves them and invites them into his presence. But even though God offers the invitation, the path is not easy. Jesus says that if you want to be a disciple, then you must hate your father and your mother and all of the rest of your family. In fact, you need to hate your own life. And then Jesus says that you can only be his disciple if you pick up your cross and follow him. Wow, this is a harsh teaching. Didn't Jesus come to teach us how to love God and how to love other people? Why is he now talking about hating our loved ones? Jesus tells us two stories to help us understand this teaching. Jesus teaches us that no one builds a tower without first making sure that they have enough money to complete it. If you start but you can't finish, the incomplete tower will stand as a sign of how foolish you are. Jesus' other story is about a king who goes to war against another king. He would never march against an unknown enemy, because what if he showed up with his 10,000 men, but his enemy had 20,000? He would be totally destroyed. Any smart king would first understand the power of his enemy, and if he can't win, he would try to negotiate. Jesus tells us that if we want to follow after him, we need to have the same attitude as the king going to war or the man building a tower. We need to count the cost. If we are unwilling or unable to follow through with our commitment to Jesus, then we need to re-examine our lives. And when you look at your life, what do you see? Most people would define themselves by looking at the things they love. They are an athlete, or they are super smart, or they are famous, or a has-been. They are good looking, or they might have areas to work on in their looks. So what are we really? C.S. Lewis once wrote that we are all eggs. He wrote, "It may be hard for an egg to turn into a bird. It would be a jolly sight harder for it to learn to fly while remaining an egg." We are all like eggs at present. You cannot go on indefinitely being just an ordinary, decent egg. We must be hatched, or go bad. Religion is trying to teach eggs how to fly. It teaches us to do this or that, and then we will achieve our goals. Jesus is teaching that we need to have a completely different focus. We need to surrender and be reborn as birds. Jesus is not telling us to create a balance between our desires and God's desires, but he is saying that God wants it all. God wants everything that we are. God wants us to give him our good things and our bad things. Jesus must not be seen as an addition to our lives that we squeeze into our busy schedules. But Jesus needs to become the core of our being. All of our desires and loves will be the desires and loves of God. Nothing will ever stand in the way of your love for God, not parents or family or friends or even your own life. And then you will discover a life that is filled with purpose and joy. And this is why we need the practice of surrendering.